This is United Fantasy Football Dynasty League Update number 2, the April 11th, 2014 edition. Hello fellow owners, Commissioner of the United Fantasy Football Dynasty League, David D. Haven here with the next installment of League Updates. So let's get right into it. Let's kick it off with a State of the Owners update. Currently, we have just one remaining franchise left to be awarded. Since the last League Update video, we've awarded 5 more franchises. Lee will be joining us. He'll be representing the New York Jets. Ian will be here with the Minnesota Vikings. Dan with the Cincinnati Bengals. Andrew with the Buffalo Bills, a recent add as of tonight. Brian with the Chicago Bears. Welcome to all you guys. Appreciate the participation in the league. So I've spoken with every single member of the league individually and feel very confident I've made the right choices with all of you. I think we've got a great stable of owners assembled, and I'm expecting nothing but positive things in this league for lots of years to come, hopefully. So just a reminder to the new and current owners alike, please update all of your contact info. Just log into your franchise team page, the team you represent, and just update all your info there with your email addresses and preferably some contact phone numbers as well. Text works fine too. Also, please remember to use team icons that are consistent with the NFL team that you are representing. I personally prefer that the homepage icons be the team helmets that your team represent, but I'm open to another pick as long as it reasonably represents the team you've chosen to represent. Okay, next subject, vet auction. The vet auction is now set in stone, you could say. It will begin on May 12th, 2014. The nominations can and will commence on that day at 5 p.m. Eastern on that day. This is the Monday after the NFL draft. This will allow you to, having the draft already completed, will allow you to consider how the NFL depth charts could and may be affected by the players drafted by the real NFL teams. And hopefully that'll give you the knowledge to comfortably proceed into the league vet auction. As a reminder, the 12-hour timer will be turned off during the vet auction from the hours of 12 midnight on the East Coast to 7 a.m. This will help minimize the possibility of what I may call overnight player sniping by any particular owners, or at the very least make it less of a factor during the auction. Okay, some vet auction planning notes that I'd like to pass along to you guys. Number 1, just please check in multiple times daily during the auction. It serves my purpose and it serves your purpose as well. I'd suggest doing that at differing hours during the day just to check the auctions in progress with particular focus on the guys that you're bidding on and the players that interest you. Keep an eye out for some bargains. Keep an eye out for guys that are over your estimated budget for the player. There won't be any more than 48 players at the auction at bid at any given time. Remember, you're limited to 4 players that you can nominate each per owner. The logic behind that is it shouldn't be too consuming and should make it easy to track if you don't have a lot of time to log on during the day. You log in, you're not looking at 100 auctions, you're only looking at 48 players at any given time, so it makes it a little more manageable, and it also allows the auction to stretch out for us and gives us a longer experience to help fill this dead time between now and training camps opening up. Remember, I did produce a vet auction tutorial for you guys. I suggest maybe reading it again if you haven't already. Become familiar with the mechanics of how the auction is going to work. So a couple other things, just based on how you prefer to build your team, I might suggest that each of you set a loose salary cap budget. I'd set this up by position. It's probably something I'm going to do. This can help serve as a resource and a guide for you to use during the startup auction for the vet players. Try and set some approximate player values, or at least some tier values based on your own personal rankings to use during the actual auction itself. This can help serve as a guide for you to use during the time. As with anything though, I'd suggest maintaining some flexibility in your strategies. I guess the most important takeaway from this is probably the most important event when it leads to your franchise long-term and immediate future. Your advanced planning you do prior to this and preparing yourself for success in this will go a long way in assembling your team. But most importantly, build the team the way you want to build it. So next subject, the rookie draft order. Just as a reminder, since we're preparing for the vet auction here, using Fantasy Football Toolbox, they have a function that randomly produces a draft order for fantasy leagues just like us. I'll simply enter in all of our emails at the site, and it will simultaneously generate a random draft order via an email notification to all of us at the same time. That will be final, one shot, one kill. So I'm not doing this multiple times, guys. This what we get is what we get, and that's what we're sticking with. Don't forget, this year and this year only, the rookie draft will be a serpentine style. Next year it will default back to the 1 through 12 order every round. This will apply to every year going forward, and that's based on order of finish for next year. This year. So next note is something I noticed, and some of you guys, the veterans of MFL, may have already seen this. MFL has a cool function where you can upload videos. This is outside of the YouTube thing that I do. It's cool, you can share these with all our fellow league mates, and the links are directly right there on the MFL site. So if you go up to the top of your page, you click on the communications tab and select trash talk videos. From there, the video upload process is pretty straightforward. Use it for some friendly trash talk. Please keep it good natured. Use it for player discussions, just to encourage a dialogue about players you want to talk about. Use it for trade talk, to update your trade bait, or even discussing your team's matchups or any other kind of fantasy football stuff that you feel like you want to talk about and have the rest of the league as an audience for you for. I encourage all of you to use it. I know I will. But the goal was to make this experience as special as we can for all of us. Okay, the next note is about the player management tracker. I mentioned this in the last update, and I've been talking to you, a lot of you, via email about this as well too. Just trying to sell this product a little bit more again. It's still in development. It'll be done before the vet auction actually starts, so you'll have it as a tool for your use during then. Some of the features about it will include the ability to forecast your future salary cap situations 3 years down the road. It'll have a tab or a breakout for years going forward, forecasting and planning your contract years cap for now and down the road, or at least making it available to you so it's a little easier to be a parent. Even playing with hypothetical player additions to your roster to assess the impact of your cap and your salary years cap down the road too. Couple more notes and I'll be done. Sorry, I know I tend to ramble. Defensive scoring settings, I had excluded these from the team defensive scoring settings from the site when I was setting it up. I just overlooked it, guys. It's my fault. So check out the details on the league site under the scoring tab. Of note, special teams touchdowns by punt and kickoff returners will count for both the team defense and the individual players. So take note of that when reviewing your player rankings. League safe. Excuse me. League safe. It's time to pay our dues, guys. We're at that point now. One owner out, 11 of us in. Let's go ahead and get this knocked out. So I'll finish setting up the remainder of the emails with the recent new owner ads in the system this weekend. I'll start setting up the auto nags. Please pay your league dues as soon as possible, guys. Remember, $150 cover all of your startup fees and 50% deposit on next year. And don't forget, I'm picking up the site cost fees for this year as a gesture and a thank you to all of you, my fellow league mates. Last but not least, the league schedule discussion. I've seen some traffic on the message board about this, or in the chat room, I suppose, and I've seen enough reasonable concern expressed on the subject that I've decided to ask for the input of the league owners on this. As soon as we add our last owner, we'll generate our first poll for voting. This is a historic time for us. So some background on the subject here before I get into the question and the actual options that you'll have to answer. As you may all know, our league settings call for each of us to play 16 games We play our conference mates or division mates, depending on how you want to look at it, twice, while playing the other conference members once each. This equates to essentially 3 doubleheader weeks. So the overall schedule concept is not up for debate. It's a fundamental preference of mine that I prefer when I'm setting up the league. However, I'd like to ask for all of your input on when the doubleheader week should actually be played. So currently, based on the default schedule requirements, this is just a tab option of schedule that I set up. It's preset. It's spread out fairly evenly. The doubleheaders currently are scheduled for weeks 3, 7, and 11. So that's 1 non-bye week and 2 bye weeks that are affecting it. So the question posed to all y'all on the poll will be this: what weeks should the 3 doubleheader weeks be played on? Option A will be the current configuration, which shows weeks 3, 7, and 11 as the doubleheader weeks. Option B will be randomly generated weeks. And what I'll do is I'll use rolldiceonline.com. I'll do a 13-sided die, 3 dice roll one time. The first 3 numbers that pop out will be the 3 weeks that we do the doubleheader weeks on. Option C is during the NFL non-bye weeks, which would be either weeks 1, 2, 3, and or 13. And option D would be other. In case of voting other, what I'll do is I'll set up a message thread on the board for you to post what your other comments specifically are. I will require the participation of all 12 of us voting in this. This is pretty important. So again, your advanced participation is appreciated. Just consider this sort of an advanced look at what the poll look like, just to get you guys thinking about what your preferences may be leading up to the poll. I'll go with the majority, whatever it may be, majority rule. So that's it for now, fellow owners. Value your regular activity and participation in the league. Thanks again to all of you, and continued welcome to all of you to the United Fantasy Football Dynasty League. Until next time, your Commissioner, Dave DeHaven.